Hey guys, welcome back to the Card Your Way podcast. Today's guests, we have the people who can make or break your finances when it comes to, or your investments when it comes to card collecting, right? It's either you make money or you try again, right? So today I have with me two interesting individuals, one from Malaysia, one from Singapore. They are, I want to get the exact term correct. They are the authorized dealer for PSA and CGC, and the preferred partner for BGS. Now on my left, we have Niklaus, which is the Malaysian side, and then on my right, we have Shu Wei from Singapore. I have to ask the first question. What in the world is the difference between an authorized dealer and a preferred partner? Is there any meaningful difference?
It's actually the same.
Actually the same.
Yeah.
Technically the same.
It's just the word they use.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Right.
just the term that they use.
I see. So before we talk about your role and exactly how the world of grading works, right? How did y'all even get into the TCG scene and then eventually grading? So maybe start with Niklaus.
Okay. So basically, I was back in the hobby. I came back into the hobby late 2020. I think it was probably it was slightly before COVID started. The whole lockdown thing. I was actually working in Macau during that time. Before this, I specialized in wine. So I
Oh.
studied wine, and I was a wine sommelier for about 10 years. So I was in Macau during that time, and then COVID. It was during the early days of COVID, and then I was just walking around Macau, and I stumbled upon a card store. I decided to walk in, and that was when I fell down the rabbit hole.
Which card were you interested in?
So basically, I'm focused on Pokemon. Yeah, solely Pokemon. Didn't really divert into any other TCGs.
That was a good time to start, right? Because that was
It
the
was.
Sword and Shield, Evolving Scars
Correct.
era,
So
right?
basically, we were in the early days of Sword and Shield. You know, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, and all those.
Yeah.
Champions Path, and then. But basically, it was fun when I stumbled into the card store because at that time the whole collecting scene hasn't really boomed yet, and in the card stores I was finding Sun and Moon products for
Wow.
retail. Yeah, so I bought team up booster boxes at like 450 ringgit each. I was buying what was that? Shining Legends. Shining Legends from back then.
Yeah, that was quite a while back. Yeah.
All the Sun and Moon stuff, basically, Unbroken Bonds, Celestial Storm booster boxes. It was really nice. But then the hobby started booming, and then people were buying up all these retail Sun and Moon products.
Right.
So yeah, it was the start of the boom, and then everything just spiraled out of control.
And for Shui, before we go into the grading side of things,
Yeah.
like for yourself,
I got back to the hobby 2019. I think that was when Hidden Fates was cheap.
move your mic a bit
Yeah.
closer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Hidden Fates was cheap back then, 2019. So I bought a few boxes and I was chasing the master set for Hidden Fates, especially that black SV49 Charizard.
Yep.
Then I move on, breaking a lot more Sword and Shield sets. I think the pick was Evolving Skies.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So everybody was chasing the alternate arts. I'm a huge alternate art collector. I collect a lot of PSA 10 alternate arts. I didn't buy the PSA 10 right away. I choose to grade them. So I break and then I grade. I break and then I grade, and I realize that, hey, maybe it's time to get some friends to submit together. And that's where the grading started, like the
I see.
middleman services. Yes. Now I'm collecting a little bit more sports. So I break on popular streams like Backyard Breaks. I went in with an open mind, and now I would say I've learned a lot more on NFL, NBA, and MLB. So
So it's the American sports.
correct. Yeah, and then I realized that sports potentially has huge, larger upside. The cards are a lot more expensive. I think holds more value because they are numbered. And some of the cards are actually like alternate arts. Actually, you look at the downtowns from NFL, You look at the cornerstone downtowns from NBAs. Those are like illustrated backgrounds with the player in front,
Right, right,
and then
right.
the short prints also. So it's quite fun actually. I'm still not an expert in sport. Still trying to learn a lot more on the rules of the games for NFL. I'm not American, that's why
That's right.
I started watching the games, and then I realized that hey, it's
Because of
actually
the
quite
cards.
correct,
Wow.
correct. So your Jacksonville Jaguars and your Baltimore Ravens and all these fantastic players that throw the ball. Those
Yeah.
passes are just amazing.
And of course, this part of the
And
world is like we're not,
yes,
you know.
it's just very niche. I feel,
That's right.
but the hobby is huge in America.
It is, it is.
It is huge. Yeah.
So for yourself, Nicholas, in terms of getting into grading, oh, sorry, for yourself, Shubey, you started sending in the card gradings, and then that's when you decided that maybe you should actually bring PSA and all that closer to home.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So I
And-
feel that
yeah.
there's a lot of hobbies unsure about the process of sending cards to PSA, BGS, and CGC for grading. And I thought that hey, I should experiment it first. That's way back in 2021, I think.
Okay.
2021, yeah. And then I myself, my background is actually in tech. So
Oh,
so I worked for big tech. I was in Google, and then moved on to TikTok and ByteDance. I love coding, right? So that's why I coded up conceptgrading.com. Built a whole operations into the platform that actively notify collectors about how's their card going and which part of the world the card is at right now. Is it grading, or is it transiting from Singapore to US and then back from US, and whether we are packing your cards right now, and this is basically all built into conceptgrading.com.
it's really cool. But we talk about concept
Yeah.
later on, but for yourself, like getting into the grading scene, what was it like? And of course, how did you guys meet also? I want to know.
Okay, so how I actually got into the grading scene is, so I got into the hobby, and then I was really getting into it the first probably 1-2 months, and then I did a lot of research, and then I found out about grading. And so with grading, I decided to actually do my own submissions. So I did my very first submission to PSA, about 55 cards if I remember correctly.
Wow.
But I was totally unsure of like which address I should ship it to. So I just picked one address from their site. I just shipped it out. And then surprisingly enough, it came back because during that time, PSA had a lot of backlogs, and a lot of people, after like 1 year, they still haven't gotten their cards back.
Wow.
But surprisingly, I got mine back after like, I think 3.5 months, which was surprising. And then through there, I started getting really into grading. And then I realized that actually the Malaysian market, there was pretty much almost no one talking about grading. No
Pretty
one
much.
selling graded cards or buying graded cards. So I realized that the market was fresh. And that was when I realized like, hey, maybe I should, bring the whole knowledge of grading in, opening the service. Because during that time, I was also doing YouTube.
No way.
Yeah. So in my YouTube, I actually did like a how to submit to PSA video, which was my most successful video in the channel. But after a while, I got burned out by YouTube. But it was good because after I got burned out by YouTube, I started focusing more on the grading side of things. And then when I came back to Malaysia from Macau, 2022, that was when I started officially my middleman services for grading.
Right.
We started out with just PSA, and then later on we opened up for BGS, but we didn't do CGC at that time.
Right.
Yeah. So fast forward to 2023, that was when TCGKL actually did their first ever event, November, I believe. And that was when it was actually my first event that I joined. That was where I met Shui. Shui was there as well with Matt's Vault, one of their partners. Matt's Vault was actually one of the vendors. So they came down to support. And then because I was so busy, I was alone at my booth. I had a huge line. Everyone wanted to inspect cards And then Shui actually walked over to my booth. We got to talking. It was a really nice chat, I remember. And then right after the event, we got in touch. Uh, at first, during the event, Shui actually sort of mentioned to me that he would like to sort of collaborate. So in my mind, it was probably like a very simple collaboration kind of thing, but I didn't know like
Yeah.
what form it would take. And then after we got in touch, we had the meeting
On Google Meet.
On Google Meet, yeah, and then it just rolled into
Yeah.
a whole idea of opening up a store for Concept
Yeah.
in Malaysia. And now fast forward another half year, here we are. We are almost ready. Probably, we should be able to start operations by next month.
Yes.
Probably.
So a date became a long-term relationship.
It was, yeah. It was like a casual chat to a Google Meet to a full-on partnership
Yeah.
with concept grading, and we definitely are not going to stop here. We intend to go even further
Right.
than Malaysia and Singapore.
So I have a very basic question. Why would you need an authorized dealer, or to use the more crude word, a middleman, right? Why can't you just do what you did, which is to send it to PSA straight yourself or BGS?
So I would say number one, the process is quite tedious. The submission process is not really easy to understand for if you are totally new. You go to their website, you want to submit. It's a bit of research that needs to be done before you can understand the entire process. Number two, the packaging. I think packing parcels is the weakness of a lot of collectors. I don't know about Singapore, but Malaysia, yeah, it's definitely a weakness. Like quite a lot of collectors do not know how to pack parcels properly. So when you're shipping stuff to like US, international, it's definitely very crucial to know how to pack parcels correctly,
Right.
so that your cards don't get damaged along the way. And then number three, shipping. Shipping costs can be very expensive for international shipping. So if you're just submitting one or two cards,
Yeah, right. You don't have the bulk.
Exactly.
Yeah. I see. Not worth it.
then
right?
your cost per card is huge.
Right.
Right, because of the shipping, right? That's where we middlemen come in, because we are dealing with hundreds, thousands of cards in a month.
Yeah.
So our submissions are definitely in the thousands range, I would
Like,
say.
I'm just curious, in terms of the numbers, how many cards do you need to submit at once where then it's worth it?
So I think I would say around 300 per shipment. That will be good.
I see.
But there are also other service levels. For example, your autograph grading. Not everybody has autographs. So if let's say you submit to a middleman, the middleman actually, I would say dealer. I don't want to use the word middleman.
Yes.
Dealer, right? Then the dealer actually has this open service whereby, we get multiple autographs from collectors across Singapore. Right? We do all the marketing, we get all the reach, and also people who wants to submit autograph together, and that basically helps you alleviate the shipping costs for autograph authentication.
I see.
Yeah.
So just to summarize, the first is people don't really know how to pack.
Correct.
The second is the process of dealing with the grading companies itself is quite confusing.
It is if you're new to the entire process,
Right.
which actually I think a lot of collectors are,
Right.
because they either have never graded before or they just entered the hobby,
Right.
So it can be very overwhelming.
So basically, the case is it's worth paying that however much to grade to solve all the headaches.
Yeah. So basically, the whole point of us starting this service is so that you can send us your cards and just sit back and relax.
Yeah.
Let us do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
That's basically the whole point of why we started the service in the first place.
There's one more thing I want to add actually is the support
Support,
from
okay.
PSA. So as dealers, we do get better support
Okay.
from PSA. We do have direct contact to some of the management in PSA. They'll give us an answer almost right away on certain orders. But if let's say you're submitting yourself, you generally go through the normal support line that takes like 3 to 5 business days to get a response. So that's what we get from as a dealer. Yeah.
So, like, is it difficult? Was it a difficult path in terms of becoming a dealer or preferred partner?
I would say the hardest to get is actually PSA authorized dealer.
Really?
I would say PSA is basically the branded, the number one in the world, right?
In terms of size, right? 70 or 80% market share.
I think probably more than
Probably
more than that. Really.
Yeah, probably
Because
more
recently
than that.
they acquired another company.
They acquired
SGC.
SGC.
Yeah, the
yes.
sports.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So I think they're closer to 90%
Wow.
of total grading volume.
Okay.
But I would say CGC CGC and BGS are fighting hard to actually.
They are fight. I mean,
To
they
gain
hold
market
themselves
share,
really
yeah.
well. So basically, we always term them as the top 3 grading companies in the world, and they each have their own merits in different fields. Like CGC, they came actually from the comic grading industry, and then they came into card grading basically. BGS is known to be the strictest in terms of grading standards.
Everybody wants the full black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they each have their merits. I wouldn't say one is worse than the other.
Yeah.
It's just different collectors, they also have different preferences. Yeah.
Right.
So some prefer BGS, some prefer PSA. Me personally, I'm a PSA fanboy. So
Are you a PSA fanboy as well?
Same. I mean, I think it's because it's very hard for me to get a black, so that's why.
Yeah.
Go for PSA.
I've gotten a few black labels, but yeah, it is very difficult to get a black label. Probably
Right.
less than 10%, I would say.
And when you're looking at the pricing for each of these three, if I'm not mistaken, BGS would be the most expensive, right?
Yep, that's correct.
But like in terms of a quantum, how much more expensive is it?
So BGS, I think the reason why they're more expensive is because they have a subgrade, the optional for the option for subgrades. Yeah. So basically, what subgrades are is so you have an overall grade, but for them to get the overall grade, you have to have.
They have an explanation in a way.
Yeah. So basically, the 4 aspects of grading cards is number 1 edges, number 2 centering, number 3 corners, number 4 is the surface. So these 4 aspects are what graders look at when they grade a card. So that's where BGS subgrade systems come into play, whereby they assign a grade to each aspect.
Yeah.
And from there, they have their own specific calculation whereby they come up with the overall grade. Basically.
Right. Yeah. So what's unique is that they have the smaller numbers right on top.
Correct.
Right.
So on your label, you have the 4 subgrades, and then you have the overall grade.
So as a dealer, do you actually do pre-grading? Like you basically give people's advice, like I don't think you should send to BGS that one, Like.
Yep. So basically, we do pre-inspections. We don't call it pre-grading because we are not graders. But we inspect the cards.
It's your opinion, right?
Yeah. So basically, it's our opinion, but we also follow the guidelines of like PSA, for example. We follow their guidelines, and based on our own experience grading thousands of cards so far, then we sort of know, like, this card in its condition would fall under, probably it's going to come back a 9, probably it's going to come back a 10.
Right.
But then again, it's quite subjective in the sense that grading, it's also done by humans.
Yeah.
We can say, oh, this might come back a 10, but then suddenly it comes back a 9.
Yeah.
Maybe the grader sees something that we don't.
Yeah.
So it's quite subjective in a sense, so there's no guarantee. Yeah, but of course, we do our best to give you, the best opinion that we can.
Right.
I think even before we do the card assessment, we might also ask the submitter to actually ask around their friends. Especially in concept in Singapore, we do have multiple employees looking at cards. So you can just ask the opinion from multiple employees, right?
I see.
Or even collectors in the store, like, hey, can you help me look at this? Do you think whether it can get a 10? So it's really, really subjective. Like we say, second opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, just make use of the community. Yeah.
Like I'm a relatively new collector. I mean, technically, I started 15 years ago. Was it 15? But didn't keep it quite well. So really started around last year. Like, if you were meeting a collector I mean, I wish I met you guys 1 year ago, right? And what tips would you give for like just collectors in general? Maybe just to drill down, maybe we just do Pokemon cards, let's say, right?
Okay.
Like I just share with you one when I went for grading the first time. Initially, I always thought that you should put the cards, at least the first layer, into a what's the word? Into a tight sleeve. And then I was told by the grader, like, actually, you can do that, but there's a risk that the edges might be a bit bad, not too bad. And then basic things like, put it upside down rather than, or, so
Yep.
you protect the top.
sleeving.
Be right. So different things like that, I wish I knew right at the beginning. I wish someone was there to teach. So right now, both you have an opportunity to tell the past me or people listening, right? What are the top tips when it comes to being a collector and actually taking care of your cards?
Okay. You want to go first?
Okay, so after you open up a box
Right.
of fresh cards, I think even before you open up, number one, research the card list. Like, look at the chase, what you really want to collect. So once you get the hit, right? Let's say the first box you open up, you already get a hit. Straight away, sleeve it up. I would suggest grading it if it's a card that is above a certain value. My gauge is $50.
Yeah, okay.
Different people has got different gauge, but doesn't mean that value is something that important. You might like the art of the card.
Yeah.
Right? If you like the art of the card, you want to preserve it, then I would suggest you to send it for grading. But before we reach that grading state, right? Once you have the card, sleeve it up. I would say put it in a pull tab penny sleeve, not a tight sleeve.
Yeah.
Right, because if you put it in the tight sleeve, it's typically a tight sleeve is used for gaming. So you double sleeve it, triple sleeve it. You need to have a tight sleeve first, right, before you double sleeve and triple sleeve. But if let's say you're going to send it for grading, put it in a pull tab penny sleeve, straight away top load it, right? Top load it in the top loader. Make sure when you put it inside a top loader, aim properly. Don't hit the sides. If you hit the sides, then you might accidentally get a whitening. So once you top load it, bring it down to us, and then we can basically help you do the assessment. Yeah, slab it up as soon as possible if you can, right? That is where, if let's say your card is not that expensive and PSA doesn't have a registered value of it, you won't get upcharged. We can talk about upcharge a little bit more.
Upcharge. Oh, so what is upcharge actually?
Okay, so let's say you are submitting a card under a tier, which is I think PSA bulk. There's a tier called trading card
TCG box.
TCG bulk, right?
Okay.
So TCG bulk is priced at 140 ringgit. In Singapore is 33
Yeah.
Sing dollars, and it covers the insurance of $199 USD, right? And if let's say the cards get graded a 10, and the value of the card, the PSA 10 card, is actually now priced at $350 USD, right? The return shipping of 199 USD insurance doesn't cover that 350 USD.
Oh.
So that's where PSA will come back and tell us, hey, your card is now above that value. So you need to upgrade to the next tier, which then the next tier is actually PSA value bulk, which covers 499 USD. And you need to pay that difference. I think for Malaysia is charging 165 ringgit, right? I think it's 165 ringgit. And then for Singapore, it's 42 Sing. So you need to pay that 42 minus away $33, which is that additional $9. So that is called an upcharge.
Right.
This
It's like a
happens-
top up to insure your card more.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So it's kind of like a behind, right after it gets graded, PSA will tell us the value of the card. This is basically an upcharge. Only PSA has got upcharge.
I see.
BGS and I haven't get upcharged by CGC before, but I heard there is an upcharge for CGC.
I see.
There might be, but we haven't got upcharged by CGC or BGS. I think BGS there's no upcharges.
BGS has no upcharge.
BGS has no upcharges.
They have
yeah.
an optional insurance system, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to shift a bit now. Nicholas, you can give me a sense on what trends are you seeing in terms of like collector preferences? Of course, we start with Malaysia and then maybe Singapore after that.
So, being someone that actually came back into the hobby late 2020, so that was pre-COVID, until now, we've actually seen quite a shift in terms of collecting trends in Malaysia, I would say. Back then, most collectors would pretty much collect English cards only. Right, and right now we actually see the acceptance of Japanese cards becoming a thing in Malaysia, and it's quite vibrant in a sense as well. So definitely, I would say one of the biggest shifts would be that, and then the other shift would be into grading cards.
Ah,
Yeah, which I think we might have played a role in, because back then, no, like I said,
you
before,
created your own market in that sense.
technically, in a sense, I think it's good. I feel that Malaysia as a market, we need more growth, because back then it was a, if compared to now, we were actually quite we laid low. We were really, down there, and we still have a lot of catching up to do in terms of catching up with our neighbors, Singapore. Singapore has a very active community. I feel a very active market, but we are getting there. Malaysia's market is definitely improving in a very good direction.
Right. Singapore?
I would say collectors are getting smarter and smarter. Yes, definitely. From we still see folks breaking packs, right? The number may or may not increase in the future. Like really real hardcore degenning. A lot of collectors now move into buying singles. They might still be opening packs because opening packs are fun, like real fun. Right?
Yeah, but the math, actually, if you do the math, you're like, actually, the amount of packs I open, I should just get the card anyway.
It's not cost effective.
But then, if let's say we get a lot more people into the hobby, new collectors will tend to still want to bring packs, right? But
Just move you a bit, yeah.
But I would say majority of the collectors are now looking out for singles. That's where you see a boom in card shows, right?
Yeah.
People are going to card shows to make deals to buy cards that, they see from other collectors' albums, right? A lot of people are going to Japan.
Oh, yeah.
To buy singles, right?
Yeah, then they come back and then sell here for a small markup, yeah.
Yeah, some of them do sell it. Some of them, I mean, we do buy and sell too. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Then they buy the singles, then they'll grade it, and that's where you see the shift into
Right.
grading cards. And there's the new trend popping up actually, it's the repacks.
Repacks.
Yes, repacks. So it's basically mystery packs.
Ah, so they open up and then they got a bunch of cards, then they kind of,
So either mystery packs or Ori Pass.
Yes.
yeah, so
Basically custom packs. You could put it that way.
Yes, custom packs.
Yeah.
And we put in a lot of graded cards into repacks to give you the more value. For example, you spend $200 Sing on a booster box versus you spend $200 on a repacks that potentially might give you a higher value, right? So that's where the market is shifting. Although not a lot of people are moving, not a lot of sellers are moving towards repacks, but I do see the trend moving towards there. Yeah.
Okay. So when you're dealing with, I guess this is more on your side, when you're working with the three of them, PSA, CGC, and BGS, what are the challenges when you, I mean, you guys said that you're a PSA fanboy, so I'm guessing that there's something the other two that is a bit lacking. So maybe just share.
I think I would say pretty much the submission is...
Yeah, so mic close. Yep.
Submission is actually pretty smooth to
all three. Right.
Three. Challenges, I mean, support, right? But PSA gives me the best support, I would say. BGS...
Wait, sorry, when you say support, what do you mean? You mean
that
like response time?
Response time, we have questions, PSA give us the best support. BGS and CGC is catching up. They are now, as you remember last time when I was dealing with BGS, the response was slow, but now it's getting better. CGC, we now do have an Asian point of contact. So, yeah, the support is getting better. But previously, it was just a little bit challenging for BGS and CGC. Yeah, I think pretty much that's it.
Do you have the
Support,
same thoughts?
right?
It's mainly the customer service.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically from our perspective as dealers. I would say from just the average collector who actually self-submits, I think the main challenge would be navigating the website.
Oh,
So currently, I would say it's better, but still not quite there. So PSA has always been the best. Their website's always updated. They put a lot of effort into making the UI very user friendly. Whereas for BGS, I remember way back then when I first started submitting with them, the website was very difficult to navigate.
Were you in the era of writing manually? No, not yet.
No, but there was a time where I had to actually do a manual submission form where I had to write everything manually because their website wasn't working.
wow.
Yeah, so BGS is getting there, but not quite there yet. One of the hardest things is to search for pop report on their website. I would say that's very, very difficult.
And BGS might not be updated based on the pop report. Yes.
Correct. Their pop reports are not live updated. They're not updated live basically. So once your card is out, your card's pop might not be in the tally yet.
So there's a lag.
There's a lag, yeah.
Right.
I'm not too sure about CGC, unfortunately, because I've never personally submitted to CGC,
Right.
so I've not personally used
Right.
their website.
But I would say the three companies, they have invested in
Yeah.
their IT infrastructure.
Okay.
Yep.
So their websites are much improved now
Compared to
as compared to the past.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
correct.
I think there are two companies that provide API, application programming interface to use, and concept grading side, we have been actively using it. So we pull data from their servers and then we update it on our website.
Yeah.
So customers who actually submit through us to get
That's good, man.
updates.
Fantastic.
And
Yeah,
they do get pop report.
correct.
They will get pop report in the future. Because
So-
I think recently I just put their latest API and I got all the data
Yeah.
that we need.
In terms of your customers, like what are some of the? I'm guessing they're gonna go for PSA most, but maybe you can break down with us out of 10 how many are PSA, how many are CGC and Beckett.
For Malaysia's side, I would say probably more than 95% of my submitters are PSA. And then you have, well, I would say probably more like 97% is PSA.
Yeah.
And then you have the remaining probably 3% that goes for BGS for Singapore.
I would do a 80-10-10. So 80% PSA, 10% BGS, 10% CGC.
What goes through their mind when they are choosing all of this from your perspective?
I would say some of them are actually very open-minded. They are like, can you please advise me which company to go to? But there are of course people who are like diehard PSA fanboy, diehard BGS fanboy, and then there's a group that I'm just chasing for CGC pristine black label, right? And I just love their slabs, right? So it boils down to quite a few things. Number one is the value of the card once it gets graded, right? I wouldn't say that is a high percentage. The other one is actually the condition of the card, because if let's say your card doesn't qualify for black label, why would you want to go for BGS?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
then that brings us to the third point, right? Collectors will be like, I just like the BGS slab.
Yeah.
Okay, then that actually wins the first 2 points, right? No matter, I just want to get it graded.
Yeah, there's just a preference to this. It's
Correct.
vanilla ice cream,
Correct.
You
Yeah,
can't
like
debate
what I
that.
mentioned earlier, it's different collectors. That grade, they have different preferences. Like some love the PSA label or they love the PSA slab. Some love the BGS label or the slab case. some love CGC.
Right.
So it all boils down to personal preference at the end of the day. Then the other points come into play, like, oh, is this card worth grading? Because the number one question I get the most is this card worth grading?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And the next, in my mind, it starts to twist like, okay, what is your definition of worth? Is it a value?
Yeah.
Is it a condition?
Yeah.
Yeah, because some people, like what Shui mentioned, they grade just for their collection. But I would say majority, more than 90% of collectors that grade, they grade probably to sell,
Ah,
which is where value comes into play,
I see.
right? And then you have the lesser percentage that grades just for their collection. So
Oh, so wait, yeah. Sorry, give me a sense of that. Like, I mean, going back to the example of having 10 people,
yep.
you say majority of them are like flipping in a way.
I wouldn't say flipping, but
I would say I would say actually they would like to collect it, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
They are collectors. Uh, let's not talk about flipping, right? Let's
Right.
talk about collectors. And when they collect, they want to collect something that has value.
yeah,
So, right, to tell them that, hey, this card is going to value at, $200 after it's being graded. And they'll be like, oh, wow, okay. Then after that, they will say, after they grade it, they won't sell it. Like, as a collector, they won't sell it, right? They will just keep it in our collection. And then the next set comes out, and then same thing, bring the card to us, they say, so this is the card I just put, how much do you think it will be after you get graded? And you tell them, hey, this is going to cost like $150. Oh, wow, then it's just going to keep it, right? So I would say value, it's part of the equation, not necessarily for flipping.
Right.
But I would say most of the collectors want to collect something that has value, right?
Yeah.
And the value is not just the value of the card, but also the sentimental value. I put it, right? Or I have this in my cupboard for like 20 years and I just want to grade it. Sentimental value plus the value. But of course, there's also one tip over here is that, actually, I think this tip is more on the sports side of things, is that you need to flip your cards in certain cases in order to chase for the larger card. That is for real, right? If let's say I pull this card today and it worth $50 is raw, and then I grade it a 10, it sells for $200, right? I consign it, right, and I get the $200 back. I buy another single at $200, and then I grade it to a 10 that can be $450.
I see.
And then you flip. And then let's don't call it flip. Let's call it buy low, sell high, right?
Yeah.
So you need to actually increase your portfolio in order to hit that $1,200 card that you really want.
Right.
Down the road. There are collectors who actually, just collect, right? There are also collectors who actually flip in order to hit the card that they want, right? Sports collectors will be, I want that one-of-one logo man that costs $500,000. Like, how are you gonna hit that $500,000? Like, I mean, unless you're in a very lucrative industry, you own a business, then that is viable, right?
Yeah.
But if let's say a normal collector like myself, what I will do is I will probably start with a group of liquid cards, right? Grade them, and then I sell them through consigners, get the money back, start buying slightly more expensive cards. I just upgrade your collection along the way. So what grading does is basically upgrading your collection, and you need to sell something in order to upgrade, right? So that's where that flipping part comes in. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, in terms of like the kind of cards that you see, of course, both of you are a fan of Pokemons and yourself sports, right? But maybe you can break down for me sort of the split between what people like to grade now for both countries, and also maybe like specific cards that you keep seeing, and maybe give people a sense that maybe it's a bit too flooded. We start with Nicholas.
Specific cards that people.
Well, before the specific cards, but the type of TCG first.
Okay, so basically, currently on the Malaysia side, for me, I would say probably close to half of my submissions are One Piece. One Piece has been hyped since last year. So far, we don't really see a huge decrease in terms of the hype yet, but it has had a slight decrease. I
Yeah.
feel in the current
Because of the
current days.
past set especially.
Because of I think it started with OPO8.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Rayleigh manga.
Yeah, because they didn't show his abs. You know? Everyone, all the fan art were like, yeah, he has
Yeah.
abs. You know? Now they removed that.
Unfortunately, yeah, and then it just sort of trickled down into PRB. But yeah, I think
overprinting is also one of the issues.
yeah, yeah, I think it's the oversupply as well, and also because of them bringing back the mangas in PRB. But yeah, so probably almost half of my submissions are One Piece. The other half is probably Pokemon.
Okay.
And then you have that small little percentage where we receive random cards like K-pop photo cards, graded sealed packs, sealed booster packs, sealed promos for grading, Funko Pops. PSA grades those as well. Yeah, so you have that breakdown basically. But I would say the king for now would be One Piece and Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Singapore, is it something similar?
Man, I need to do a data analysis on that. But based on my observations, the number of cards that we send to PSA, I would say, let's talk about TCG first. TCG versus sports, right? So TCG still is 70% of the number of cards that's being sent out. 30% is sports, because sports in Singapore and Malaysia is pretty much not as hyped yet, right?
Yeah.
As compared to TCG. A lot of people know. I mean, Pokemon is basically the largest media franchise in the world.
Yeah.
Sports, not a lot of people know about your Tom Brady's, your
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama's, your
Joe Burrows.
Joe Burrows, your Mouse,
Your
right?
CJ
So,
Stroud.
but it is up and coming, I would say.
Yeah.
Sports, I feel that one day maybe on par with TCG or even overtake in terms of value, right? But now we see 70% on TCG, and within that 70%, the breakdown will be, I would say, 60% on Pokemon. Pokemon is still very strong. Then I would say 30 to 40% for One Piece now, because it's really hyped up. I think the hype won't go down anytime. It's just that whether Bandai will release good cards, right? Good
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just nice cards.
Because
And-
the IP is also very strong. That's the thing.
yes,
Ridiculous.
and just don't overprint it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not too sure I'm allowed to say this, but Bandai has a history of printing cards to to the ground. But maybe you should cut that. Yeah, but I think the IP is still really strong for One Piece, and then we do see WS,
This is
Weiss
Weiss
Schwartz.
Schwartz,
Weiss Schwartz,
right?
yeah.
Weiss Schwartz,
Weiss Watch.
They have their own niche following.
We have big Yu-Gi-Oh submitters also.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Yu-Gi-Oh, WS, Pokemon, One Piece. Then there are some smaller TCGs that are popping out. Flesh and Blood,
We received some Digimon as well.
yeah, Digimons also. Yeah,
And
so it's a wide range.
in terms of fan favorite cards to grade,
I wouldn't say there's a
pick one. I don't need to say it.
For
Is it-
Pokemon, it's mainly the alternate arts. I would say
Yeah.
mainly from the. It's
Sword and Shield.
still the Sword and Shield alternate arts. I would say people are still chasing those. We still do receive a good amount of it. The waifu craze has sort of died down, but we still do receive a lot of waifu cards. For One Piece, it's mainly the mangas. I would say
Okay.
we receive a lot of mangas.
Yeah, mangas is.
Yeah, it's literally the only thing that people grade.
I still remember there was once I went to. We did an on-site submission in Japan. We're doing another one in September actually.
Okay.
End September. Shameless plug.
Shameless.
No, there's more shameless plugging later on. No worries.
So we hand carried like 60 mangas. I don't know, 59 to 60 mangas. Like I'm carrying this stack of mangas up to the on the plane, and I'm just hugging it, right?
Yeah.
And then once it get graded, I just hug it and then just I'm not gonna let go of it.
Yeah, it's some serious money in the mangas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, when I wanna now get you guys to talk about, starting this collaboration that you have, starting a store, right, in Mangsa Maju, right?
Yeah.
What are your future plans for the store? What are you gonna do that's a little bit different?
You want to go?
I would say the vision of having a store is basically to have a presence, so that you can actually, that there's actually someone around assessing your cards daily from 11 to 8 p.m. Just feels that there's a sense of presence and a sense of belonging.
Sense of
It's
assurance.
like, kind of like
as well.
a lighthouse for customers who can entrust their cards to. So it won't be different as any other middleman
Yeah.
right now. In fact, our store might be much smaller as compared to a lot of big
Yeah.
stores out there doing retail. We are going to sell singles for sure. We're going to sell
Slabs as well.
slabs and also card protectors. We actually have a brand called Concept Armor. We sell those penny sleeves and also top loaders. And
So I have to
casing.
ask, do you all have, I've been trying to find this even online, I can't really find it. Do you all have top loader sleeves?
Yes, so basically,
have?
Concept Grading has a subsidiary company called Concept Armor. So basically, Concept Armor is our own line of accessories, whereby we have our own penny sleeves, we have our own top loaders, card savers, binders, acrylics, I believe,
PSA slab protectors.
and also recently
You mean
launched.
that rubber thing
No,
at the side?
No, it's fully aluminum magnetic.
So we recently launched fully magnetized aluminium slab protectors.
Okay,
Covers
okay.
both back and front. We'll be bringing that to Malaysia as well, of course. It will be sold in the store. So that is the accessories line, basically.
Right.
Yes,
For the
you-
store, we're also going to be selling single slabs as well as products. So it's actually going to be a full-fledged card store. But then, humble beginnings, we are starting out in a very small
Yeah.
shop lot. So it's actually quite small, very, very cozy. So we are not expecting like a full-on 100 people in the card store kind of
Can't fit.
situation.
It's
No,
gonna be
you
hard to
can't fit.
fit also, right?
Probably we're going to do like 20, 25 people, and it's probably going to be packed.
Yeah.
But it's basically going to be some sort of our base of operations for Malaysia to start off with. Like what Shuwei has mentioned, it's to announce our Concept Grading's presence in Malaysia. And in future, I think Shuwei will mention it.
Yeah, and then
The vision of Concept Grading.
I guess before we go into the vision, like I know you're with your tech background, right? There's surely something that you want to bring into the scene in terms of technology, perhaps an app or whatever.
Yep.
Maybe you can share. a
So
bit.
primarily will be the website www.conceptgrading.com. It already is a functioning platform for Malaysia. You can go in, sign up, make a submission, bring your cards to Nick. The process is similar but different because now you are able to track the progress of the cards on the website.
So would there be like a bar, like a loading meter?
Yes, so basically
Yes.
there's a
Oh,
tracker
so
bar.
cool.
So stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
so you know which stage your submission is at, and it's all
Fantastic.
reflected in your registered account. Yeah.
And there's an app for this for me.
A
to
website.
check. Website
So
now,
we
still
can-
website. Okay.
Currently,
website,
it's still
yes.
a website, yeah.
And we're going to do something slightly, we are doing it in Singapore right now, but we're also introducing it to Malaysia, is the partnerships. So we are partnering with a lot of the local streamers and also retailers. So you can, I know Malaysia is huge, right? It's not like Singapore, it's small, whereby you have one shop and then
Yeah, I can
you
be-
can just walk in.
I was telling you beforehand, right? Like I could visit all the stores in 2 or 3 days. I don't
Yeah.
think you can do that in Malaysia. Right?
Yeah. So in Malaysia, it's just huge. And let's say the local retail store is near you and you want to submit to them, and then the other partners with us, your cards will actually be shipped to Nick.
To us, yeah.
And then similarly, we are actually extending this feature so that you can actually see the progress of your cards, even you submit to like your local retailers, because ultimately at the end of the day, it is still being processed through.
Are you at liberty to share who are some of these partners? So maybe some of the listeners can hear. It's like, hey, that's just right. Because
yeah,
you
sure.
can imagine a lot of guys are around the more central KL, whereas Wangsa Maju is a little bit off, and maybe they'll be like, oh, I don't know, travel,
of course,
things like
yeah,
that.
that's why we are trying to actually reach out to more stores,
Yeah.
TikTokers through this collaborators program. Currently, some of our collaborators are like My Hobby, My Hobby in Sri Petaling, My Hobby in Collectibles.
Okay.
And then we have Heavy Arm. So Heavy Arm has 2 stores in Subang and Kota Kemuning. We are also collaborated with TikTokers like RNCK, Shazril Collectibles. We are collabed with them as well. Randy, TCG, and other stores like Let's Copy, and Let's Copy in PJ, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
AMCC in
AMCC as well.
Yep.
Yeah, in Klang. So we are trying to extend our reach so that, like what Shuwei mentioned, if it's too far to come to Mangsa Maju, probably you want to submit with a closer store.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We are also collabed with a card store in Sarawak.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cards Top. Yeah, Cards Top.
Like, I'm just curious. This is purely selfish, right? So,
Yep.
for me to get to Wangsa Maju, is around there 30 plus minutes.
About 30 minutes, yeah.
Right. I would definitely visit your store. Right.
Yep.
Probably when
Happy
it
to have
opens.
you.
Right. But if I want to send for grading, and then usually what I do is I get the
Pre-inspection.
the company pre-inspection, right? So if it's too far, and let's say I want to, I don't want to go there, but I just want to maybe ship over to your store. Will you all do something like, I don't know, you FaceTime and you see my card and then?
So basically, what we are currently doing for those that are actually located quite far, but they want to submit directly to us,
Yes.
so they could either post it to us or they could grab a Lala, move their cards over. What we will do is we actually receive their cards and then we will go through the entire inspection and
Then you
cleaning
pick the
process.
best,
Yep. What I currently actually do is I send them a simple Excel report of their cards, as well as their conditions
Ooh.
and estimated grades. So I'll send it to them
Right.
for them to confirm. Once they confirm, then we can go through the whole submission reservation in our website.
So you're a one-man show right now.
We've been a we've been a one-man show since 2022 till now, but we are definitely in the intention of hiring soon to expand, because we are scaling the operations for sure. So we want to be able to cater to more volume for sure. We're going to be attending a lot of events, so we definitely need the manpower. But yeah, for now it's the one-man show.
So we've talked a lot about the little things that, and big things even that you all want to progress. But I guess what's the big picture in terms of the big vision? Just now you were sharing that, Shuwei has this vision for concept grading. So maybe,
I think ultimately is to bring the platform to not just only in Singapore and Malaysia, but to the whole of Southeast Asia. We are looking at opportunities right now, more collaborations, to bring this platform out and just to make submission easier for our Southeast Asia markets. So
Right.
that's actually the big picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
okay, awesome. Guys, thanks for coming on. I learned a lot.
Thank you so much.
I learned a lot of what I should
you
and
for
should
having
not
us.
do. And I learned a lot of regrets that I have now for my cards. How
We
I
all go
started.
through it at some point. It's
Yeah.
all part of the learning process.
Yeah. Anyways, where can people find you?
So we are currently located at Wangsa Maju. For now, because our store is not open yet, I'm also located at Wangsa Maju.
Is there a date?
Sorry?
Is there a date for the opening?
Not yet, but we have pretty much put a deadline of mid next month.
Okay,
To
very
start
soon.
operations.
Less than 2 weeks, probably.
But the platform is still online, right? So
Platform is still online,
Online,
yes. So we are already using the platform for Malaysia side. So that's a good improvement in our services for sure. But yeah, we are located in Wangsa Maju, Farah Residences. If anyone wants to know our location further, any details on the services, you can contact me directly at Nicholas Tai Jun Ming, Facebook.
Ah.
Or you can find my group on Facebook as well, Pokesom Middleman Services, which is actually going to be rebranded really soon to Concept Grading by Nick. Yep. So that's going to be the name of our new store. And it's also going to be located in Wangsa Maju. It's actually located below my condo.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You work where you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well,
Everyone
they don't
knows
know
where
which
I
floor.
stay. Everyone knows where I stay.
Because that's where you were operating
Yeah,
beforehand.
so
right?
I was home based. So our operations has been home based for the past 2 years.
Got it.
It was a bit difficult because being home based, I have a family. I have my wife and my daughter. So it's tough to juggle between both because I'm also a full time middleman. So
I have to ask, what does your family think of this? Or is your daughter too young right now?
my daughter is like a year and a half right
Okay,
now.
right. Okay.
She's getting very, very naughty recently.
Yeah. But
My
do-
wife, she's
Do they get it? I mean, it's
so she gets it.
right. Okay.
She gets it. Because over the past 4 years that I've been collecting, I've been buying and selling a lot. And if I were to do a sort of profit and loss sheet, I would say I'm in the green by a mile. So she's definitely all for it. But with the whole store opening, I think she was a bit like, oh, now you don't have much time.
So definitely we need to hire.
Yeah,
That's
definitely we
100%.
need to hire. Yeah.
So we will be looking out for
so that
talents from
I can
Malaysia.
have a bit more time with the family. I think that's striking a balance between the two. That was very, very, very important.
Right.
Yeah. But she's all for it. She's really supportive, and I'm really thankful for having
Yeah.
her.
And for your family, Shui?
So I quit my full-time job for this.
He quit TikTok.
Yes, and TikTok was paying well. So my family is, I've already reached a stage whereby I need to choose either or, because during my days in TikTok, I've been putting in 18 to 20 hours almost every day. Like right after I finish my work, full-time job, the next thing is I'm on the train to the shop and then clearing things up, and then once I clear things up in the shop, I go back home, continue working till like 1 2 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 3 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So it is to a stage whereby I need to choose, right? Choose
Yeah.
this or your health.
Yeah, it's true.
So then I quit. I think I quit in July this year. And family is not really against it because they know that this is passion,
Yeah.
and it actually we do get by. So although it's a huge pay cut from a
It's
previous
TikTok.
job,
Almost
right?
everything is a huge pay cut from
Yeah.
ByteDance. Right?
So no regrets till now.
Yeah.
Right.
No
Was it a
regrets.
huge pay cut for you as well from your job in Macau and all that?
For mine, it was risky because I left Macau with a very good. Macau paid me very well, honestly speaking.
And what industry was this again? Just
So I was a wine sommelier. I worked with
correct.
Michelin restaurants in Macau. It was a huge risk for me because I was stuck in Macau for 2 years. I didn't see my wife for 2 years.
because this was like COVID.
Yeah,
period,
my
right?
wife was back in KL. So my wife was like, "When are you coming back?" So I told her, "Give me 1 more year to prepare my finances," and then I left. I came back without a plan B. And coincidentally, a month after I came back, PSA reopened their services for submissions with bulk. And that's when I decided to start up my middleman services. No looking back since. I feel it has been running more on passion rather than just the pay for me. But of course, with the family, commitments are high.
Yeah.
So we do our best to definitely bring in the dough
Yeah.
per se. But ultimately, I think both of us, Shubha and I, we
Yeah.
put a lot of dedication, a lot of passion into
Yeah.
what we do. and we love what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing's for sure that among the three of us here, all three of us have passion, but only two is getting paid. Just joking. Anyway, guys, I think that's the end of the podcast. All right, I think we dragged this out a bit too long, but I really enjoyed. Thanks for coming on, and
Thank you so much for
see you
having us.
soon. See you in your store soon, and
For
guys, go check it out. All right, bye bye.
Thank you for having us. Bye bye.
Bye.